Hey folks, David Konikoff here, and Natasha Hausdorff is a British lawyer who defends Israel on the world stage. She went up against a pro-Palestinian voice recently about civilian casualties in Gaza. Check out how she educates her on the fact that Israel is the most moral army in the world.
What Israel wants is to carry out these operations in the dark, number one, and number two, facilitate the kind of nonsense that Natasha is coming out with, which is, oh, we can't possibly verify any of this.
Well, let's drill down on those casualty figures.
Let's have a look at those casualty figures.
Just give me Yalda. I've just been accused of speaking nonsense. Those figures that even Biden has now been repeating, utterly unverified, even if we look at the...
You would think the Americans would get their intelligence correct.
There are 3 points to draw out here. The first point is the inflation that we have seen, and there is independent analysis on the basis of open source to go into that. If I use one example, on the 17th of October, the Al-Ahli hospital strike that the international media was accusing Israel of having conducted. Well, that has been utterly debunked. It was a Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket that fell in the car park, but that 500 casualty jump on the 17th of October has never been revised. It's just one example. So the veracity of those figures is impossible to determine at this stage. But there are other two critical issues of missing information. The first one is, who are these people that they say are making up these casualty figures? Because Hamas does not distinguish between combatants and civilians. The IDF has clearly stated...
What we know is...
We are talking about Palestinian women and children. Tens and thousands of women and children who are being killed, maimed, orphaned, terrorized and tortured.
And
that is happening because Israeli army bombs are obliterating houses and every sign of infrastructure in Gaza. You cannot blame anyone else for that.
Any international lawyer or military expert worth their salt will be confirming that throughout every previous conflict, Israel has not only complied with the laws of armed conflict on proportionality, on distinction, on necessity, and on precision targeting and precaution against civilian casualties, but has gone way above. And there is no reason to suggest that this time is...
in this particular instance they have?
If we look at the figures for other armed conflicts, the average global figure that the United Nations puts out for urban armed conflicts is a very disturbing 9 civilians to every 1 combatant killed. Well, the Israeli figures check out at more or less 1-to-1 now, which is unprecedented in the history of urban conflict. And it is testament to the targeted strikes that Israel is conducting. Whereas Israel's strikes are precise and targeted, the Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad rockets that fall short in the Gaza Strip kill Palestinians indiscriminately.
I'm going to have to actually go to the ad break, but I will come back. We'll keep you here.
Oh, you were speaking too many facts. Let's get this off the air. I think you'll notice something very sort of repetitive in these debates. You'll have one side scream, "You're killing women and children. It's terrible, blah, blah, blah." And the other side will usually come with data points and analysis and exactly why different things are happening. And that's the Israeli side. And you have the Palestinian side, very emotional, always making this, grab your heart sort of argument. And that works. It does work, but it's definitely not an accurate representation of truth. When you play the victim card, it's very hard to combat that. And despite the fact that Israel having all those points with the 1-to-1 casualty ratio, with the amount they go to avoid civilian casualties, with literally calling military lawyers before they can even make a strike, they have to go through 6 different levels of approval. None of that matters because look at the children and women dying. Like, you can have any argument against that, but then you have the Trump card of look at these children and women dying. They're dying because of you, and you have to stop. And regardless of the fact that, you might have, it might even be a complete BS. It might even be Pallywood. It might even not be children and women dying in most instances. If you can create this narrative, you can change the way people think about this conflict. And it makes it pretty much impossible for Israel to win this narrative war. But somebody who does a very good job of it is Natasha Hausdorff. So check her out, UKFLI Charitable Trust. She's a British lawyer for Israel. Thank you, and have a good one.